Guten Tag, meine sehr verehrten Damen und Herren. Es freut mich sehr, Sie hier begrüßen zu dürfen. Ich präsentiere 50 plus Döner.
Beeflum's typing away. God
I
damn.
sure am.
What are you
Yeah, bro,
doing?
you sound like you at work.
You doing a typing test? What is going on?
Nothing. We're good. Welcome to 50 Plus Donor.
Good morning, y'all. My mic is low? Probably. Let me fix that real quick. Is that... Alright, I just need to talk closer to it. Anyway, obviously we are joined by a very distinguished guest. Our boy. I think
What's
it's
up?
Elliot Carr, right?
You got jokes. That is always gonna live in the lexicon no matter what I do. But yeah, man, that is an inside joke that very few people will get who are not melanated. But yeah, it's a pleasure to be on here. Always fun to talk about probably the second favorite league in my heart, Bundesliga. So yeah. So
I never knew that, yo. We're already starting off with new info. Second in your heart?
yeah, man. So I have a big love for the Bundesliga. I don't know if your listeners really pay attention to USL like that, but
We've got a shit ton of USL fans in here, so.
okay. So I feel like for me personally, I feel like USL is probably the closest, like any league related wise, to the Bundesliga, and it really feels like that's why I want our promotion and relegation to go. For your listeners who don't know, USL decided to vote on Pro Rel for the 2027-2028 season, and that's how I want our promotion and relegation to go. I would love for USL to. I know they're talking about Division One making a Premier Division, but I would really like for us to build a more regionalized fourth division and build that up from there.
Yeah.
And then it goes up that way. But yeah, man. Of course, here in America, everyone starts off with the Premier League and watching that. And I started off being a Manchester United fan. I still am fan, keyword there, not a supporter. And I got more and more into soccer because I'm a soccer nerd and geek and all that stuff. And I really fell in love with the history of the Bundesliga and some of the teams in it because they seem real cool, quirky and cool. So yeah, I always make sure that whenever there's a Bundesliga game on, I'll have that on over any other league. I also follow Kaiserslautern.
Shout out Kaiserslautern.
Yeah. And when they were in the three Liga, I found out that their games were put on YouTube, so I would watch games on YouTube. And now they're in the Selecta Bundesliga. So now they're on ESPN Plus. ESPN Plus pick and chooses when games want to come on. So I kind of got to wait and see when our games are on. The last few times we've been on, we haven't played so well. So hopefully the next time we get on ESPN Plus, it's a promotion and we're going up to the Bundesliga. But yeah, I got big love for the German football pyramid.
I know we jumped right into it, but I think a lot of people obviously know who you are. But in case they don't, give us some background. You're the I would say in my eyes, you're like one of the biggest figures in like U.S. soccer media. Like I'm not even like pumping you up. Like you are everywhere.
I do feel that way. It feels weird because this year I feel like I've done less like media stuff, and maybe that's just because I'm so busy with everything else. But no, man, I'm just a big black man in media. That's it.
Yup.
That's about it, man. Oh no, I mean like, for those who don't know, I've been in soccer media now since 2018. Yeah, 2018. I started off with River City 93. That's my podcast. We cover the Richmond Kickers. We also started a female version of River City 93 called Podcast. It's still in the same feed, but we cover the women's team here, the Richmond Ivy, who are a pre-professional women's team in the USLW. I've also started Can I Kick It FC, Walking 90. I've co-hosted For the Culture. What else? I've done like a bunch of stuff, man. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, see, I wasn't simply just saying shit. Like, you
yeah,
really,
no. I am.
You're really doing
you
that
be
shit.
around for real.
The thing is, man, I don't even try to. Like, of course, like, you know, you got to promote yourself and put yourself out there, right? You know, you got to, because if you don't, no one will really know, and, you know, whatever. Because my philosophy is the worst they can tell me is no, right? And outside of that, like, I still gotta to do this and not be trained in it or go to school for it. Because I mean, I've always had a passion for journalism, like telling authentic stories. Because I think we're part of that generation that grew up around when Sports Center was like telling real stories. And you know, I remember like watching Outside the Lines like on Saturday. Like that was my show. Outside the Lines Sundays at 2:00. I would always watch it because they would tell those real stories. So that's how I fell in love with sports and everything, and that storytelling. And I think that's a lot of how I want my journalism ethos to come about. It's just telling those real stories, getting into the nooks and crannies of why stuff happened, how stuff happened, and not just how much stuff is now today of just like debating for the sake of debating. Like I have to be on this side of the fence, you have to be on this side of the fence, even though I don't believe it, and we have to debate. No, like we can have a conversation, even though we disagree about something. Like we can not troll each other, we can just talk about it with each other.
We were talking about a violator of that before the show.
Yeah. Look, man, if you want to make it, dog, you got to sell your soul. Some people are cool with that. I'm not, but yeah. Hey, to them, it is what it is. Be happy. Just be happy with the decision you make. That's all I gotta say.
Well, speaking of telling sports stories, you're really gonna have to tell the Kaiserslautern story. That I feel like that is not a.
Since we're talking about it,
okay, Roki.
This is a 02-03 Kaiserslautern jersey.
Yep. All right, Yogi. What the hell?
Yeah, man. So
you're a Bundesliga extremist.
So that's what I'm saying, man. Like, I have more Bundesliga jerseys than I do probably Manchester United jerseys.
What?
I have 2 United jerseys. No. 3. I have 3 United jerseys, and I probably have like 5 Bundesliga jerseys. So I have this. Do you remember the black and gold Bayern Munich jersey they had? Maybe like a couple of years. I got that one. Pep Guardiola's first year when they had the red and blue stripes, the big stripes. I got that one. I have a Stuttgart jersey because my dad was stationed in Stuttgart, and when he passed last year, we were going through his stuff, and I found his supporters group card. My dad was 1 year, 1981, when he was stationed in Stuttgart. He was a supporter for Stuttgart. So I have a Stuttgart jersey. Of course, his Kaiserslautern one. And there's one more I have. Eintracht Frankfurt jersey.
Yogi, what the educational interview?
Yeah, man. So that's what I said. Like, I gotta fondness for German football, man. But
so are you pulling for Stuttgart then in the Pokal final?
Oh yeah, of course. Okay. Yeah, I got love for Stuttgart, man. I want them to do well. I want them to do well because my dad was a supporter of them, and he never told me this. Like, my dad was like, you know, very hardcore. Like, this is my sport, like basketball, football. He was that guy. So I went to his stuff, and I'm like, this man never told me he had a supporters group. He only went to like 1 game, but he had a supporters group card for Stuttgart.
I mean, still.
Yeah, it was just pretty cool. So the way how I became a Kaiserslautern fan was FIFA, actually. I did a FIFA career mode, I think it was like 2015 with Kaiserslautern. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And I started doing more research into what the club was and what they supported. You know, the Red Devils, everything like that. And I was like, oh, like this is pretty cool. Like, you know, and just seeing like it was this big club that had to fall on grace in the third Liga. And I think that was like my real introduction into soccer fandom, like what it meant to be like a real supporter of a team, a real like fan of a team. Because like I said like earlier, like I started off liking Manchester United, but I had no idea what Manchester United was. This was like 2014. Louis Van Gaal and Robin van Persie off the World Cup. That's when I started really liking soccer. So the find out about Kaiserslautern, it was always cool. Like it was always a little love in my heart, and I've been keeping up with them ever since.
Yeah. So, kind of to piggyback off of this, knowing what you know about Kaiserslautern now after being a fan for some years, if you were to try to convince someone to become a Kaiserslautern fan, what would be your pitch? What would you tell them to kind of get them on the bandwagon?
We're better than FC Nuremberg. We're on the rise. We have the best Tifo game in the Zweite Bundesliga. We have the best stadium in the Zweite Bundesliga. We have the best fans in the Zweite Bundesliga. Yeah, there's no reason why you shouldn't be a Kaiserslautern fan. We're 1 point outside of promotion. We have 3 games left against Darmstadt, Kroslar, and Cologne. Win 2 of those 3. We're going back up to the Bundesliga. I mean, what's there's not to love?
Actually, let me check this table real quick. Oh, yeah, you really are. I didn't see that you won the last game. Oh, because it was Schalke. Yeah, damn. You really are 1 point away.
We're 1 point away. I mean, it's a log slam there, but, like, we're there, and I mean, if you look at some of our key players, like Etche, like he's an amazing striker, man. Like, if we don't get promoted this year, it would not surprise me if Cologne or Hamburg pays like 4 or 5 million for him and be like, "Hey, come be our striker."
Well, you hit that rumor right on the head because that's already coming out that might happen. So.
I know, and I don't want it to. Like, I really don't, but I feel like it's like if we don't get promoted this year, like it's gonna be hard. Like Richter's another one. Like we might lose out on him. Rindon, I don't know, because he's a good wingback, but I think he can stay one more year at Kaiserslautern. But Ache and Ritter are the two that I'm like, all right, we might lose out on them. I don't know if we do how Kaiserslautern are planning to replace them. I should say.
Well, now that I know that you're a Kaiserslautern extremist, how was being in the Pokal final? What was,
it was fun because I knew we weren't gonna win, so I was just fine watching the game.
You were in there though. You were in there. It was real close.
I know. But I just I didn't have any real oh, we're definitely gonna win this.
Right.
Because also part of me was like, I want to see Bayer Leverkusen complete the story. They came close. They scuffed it up in the Europa Europa League. But I was really hoping all right, if we made it this far, that's a hell of a run. And especially the year itself wasn't that good because we finished 13th. So to get to the cup final, I think was unique because something also that's another thing you would never see that happen in England or Spain, a second division team making it to the final. And even this year you got a third division team making it to the final. That's the uniqueness of Germany. That's what I love.
Actually goes right into our next question, B-Fun,
doesn't it? It sure does. What is German soccer missing from all the other leagues that you follow and cover?
What are they missing? One, the ability for allow you to use their content on social media. If there's some banger goals you want to put out there, you can't because they will strike that motherfucker down so quick. I would also say, I think using more voices in the U.S. lexicon. Granted, you have Manuel Vape, you of course,
not us, of course.
Well, I mean, I feel like y'all got the connection to do Manuel, so maybe we need to butter Manuel a little bit more. I don't know. He's probably still drunk off of Vancouver.
Last night.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I think using more of the American voice, and I think also like maybe touring a little bit more here in the U.S. because this is the thing that's very unique to Europe. Like they have, I think I'm mistaken. I think they have the most U.S. bases. So outside of England, who could really just send like, their mid-tier teams over here and their, soon to be relegated teams over here for tours and whatnot. I think Germany should be second around touring around the U.S. Like we saw Eintracht Frankfurt come around USL. Kaiserslautern, of course, came. A couple other, I think, Hosting Kills coming to Minneapolis. Minnesota United this year.
Yes,
So I think
sir.
just touring more in the U.S., definitely around those German populations.
Yes, sir.
Getting around here, but also like a lot of these German teams, like I don't want to seem like I'm being like I don't know what the exact word is, but I wish they had more English content. A lot of even the Kaiserslautern account, like it's all in German. So if you don't know German, like you gotta hit Google Translate. If something is not being properly translated, you're like, okay, let me try to figure it out. So even on like that standpoint, like some of the YouTube pages, things like that, like it's all very German based, and I get it because they're in Germany and they're placating to their fans, and these are the people, 50+1. They don't want outsiders, and I understand that. Like, you don't want people from outside changing something that you love near and dear that you've been a fan of your entire life. I get that, and I want to respect that. I just think like if you want to grow, I think it is okay to be like, all right, what's the second biggest language to us? Is it Spanish? Okay, let's create a Spanish content. Is it English? Let's create English content. And I think it works for different clubs in different situations. Like, I remember the Turkish club in Munich that was in the 3 Liga that went down. They had some financial, but like they had Turkish content. It was some in Arabic, some in Turkish. Which was really unique because they fed their fan base and whatnot. So I think stuff like that is fine for me. It's just something I would want to see.
We also need to catch up on comments real quick. Casey Masterpiece, who you know very well, 49-month subscriber, the GOAT Yogi. We'll see how the second leg of Henry Darby affects that comment.
Hey, I hope it goes well. I'm trying to get up there.
Frog the Wizzy saying Wolfsburg only won with an English option and it doesn't even work. I mean, yeah, like you're right on the money with like the keeping it German thing because even Frankfurt, who's pushing internationally for fandom, I don't even think their membership application's in English either. So
yeah. So I mean, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, and Frankfurt is like a big banking city.
Oh yeah.
So like, like I get it. It's difficult to probably have all these multiple accounts and stuff like that, but if you want to improve yourself and get out there and have more vast fans, it's kind of the things you have to do.
Well, we're gonna also continue to roast the Bundesliga here because the other question is, from a perspective of a black fan, what do you think the league could be doing better, similar to like Premier League and things like that, who I think understand that a little bit better than the Bundesliga does.
So to get black fans? For me, honestly, I think it goes back to allowing people to use the clips on social media. Because that's like how you get the casuals in. You get to see those clips and things like that. And also like putting yourself out there. Like it's okay to talk about those stories. And the up and coming player, like I can't remember his name from Eintracht Frankfurt. Ikizi, the striker. I can't remember.
Man, even I have.
You go Ekitike.
Ekitike, yeah.
There we go. Why, like, man? That rolled off the tongue so quickly.
Yeah, like he's someone that they should be putting on Front Street. Leroy Sané. Vincent. Like if you would have told me 5 years ago that a black man would be the manager of the biggest club in arguably a top 5 club in the world, I would have laughed in your face. Like, laughed in your face.
And win a trophy his first
and
year.
win a trophy. And this is the thing. Like, when Vincent Kompany got the job at Bayern Munich, I was so scared for him because I'm like, if this doesn't work, how long would it be before another black man gets even sniffs a mid-tier Bundesliga or mid-tier European job again, right? Because you see Patrick Vieira down at Girona. I can't remember his name, but he's in France at Strasbourg, right? It's very sparse. So I'm like, all right, like Kompany got to work. I hope he works, and it has. You know, outside like this is my thing. Like I understand, you know, clubs in the upper echelon. You know, it's Champions League or bust. Like Real Madrid, Man City, you know, Juve, Inter, you know, Bayern, right? But for year one, for him to get Bayern back to what they are, to being dominant in the Bundesliga. Granted, the Pokal didn't go the way how they wanted to, but he's pretty more or less stabilized that team. And next year is not a case of, all right, we got to tear this all down and, you know, who we going to buy from here and there. It's pretty much like, all right, who we going to add to go get this double? Who we going to add to potentially try to get another treble, right? So I think, like, if the Bundesliga put, like, those faces out there and talk about them and be like, you know, hey, and let me also preface this to say, like, I think that being on ESPN is a big plus, right?
Nice pun.
Right. But ESPN doesn't do enough with their soccer coverage. No. If you gave them, like, let's say, for instance, if you gave them half of the college football budget, it would have a bigger footprint. Because the Bundesliga and La Liga are probably the two biggest leagues on there. But more people will watch La Liga, one, because of El Clasico. So that automatically be drawn to that Real Madrid, Barcelona. But the fact that La Liga is, like, for their face, like, this is Lamine Yamal. This is Kylian Mbappe. This is this person. This is that person, right? Where the Bundesliga is more just like, we have Bayern Munich. Like, that's it. Like, they got, as a whole, they gotta put more of them teams up there in front and center. You know, like, for instance, I mean, granted, they don't have a team in the semifinal right now, but, like, you can talk about how great Stuttgart are doing right now. You can talk about what the problems are in Wolfsburg and whatnot. Like, I think if they had, like, if they were on CBS, it would be a lot different, in my opinion.
I mean, that is going to come up soon. The ESPN deal is going to run out, so maybe that will be a thing.
Because I mean, it's helped Serie A. Like, it's helped Serie A a lot. One, because it's accessible, but also, like, it's on free to watch TV. The only games that I can think about that come on free to watch TV, like, when I mean, like, you can have an antenna and watch it on ABC, is probably their Classicer. Probably, like, a random Bayern Munich and Leverkusen game. Pretty much, if it's Bayern, like, if it's not Bayern, they're not putting that game on ABC, so that means you have to have ESPN Plus. Where with Serie A, they don't care. Like, I remember watching Golazo or CBS Sports Network on, like, you know, because I got Roku on live TV. They were showing Como and Venezia. You wouldn't get there with the Bundesliga, you know. And I don't know if there's a reluctance to show, like, the lower teams in the Bundesliga. I don't know, but I think, like, it's okay to show that because you might honestly get some fans that want to be hooked with that because a lot of people will probably look at the Bundesliga and be like, oh, it's just a shinier version of Ligue 1, where PSG runs the league. So what's the point of me caring about the other teams in the league? Outside of Bayern Leverkusen, maybe Dortmund, you know? Yeah, Schalke, but Schalke can't butter their pants right now.
They can't even afford the butter. Mike P said how much ESPN Bundesliga content is original. Not a lot, if at all, any. Like you get the occasional pregame show, but I mean, like outside of that,
I mean, oh my god, ESPN FC is like probably the bane of my goddamn existence. Like it's just bad. Like I wouldn't even say it's bad. It's just ill-informed. Like I feel like they just give them 5 talking points and be like, "Yeah, just talk about these, and we'll figure everything else out afterwards." Like it's just not good content.
Which is wild because they started off the deal with an entire documentary about Hertha versus Union Berlin, and I don't think they did a documentary like that since. So I don't know what they're doing over there. But you bring up a good point about rivalries, right? About El Clasico. You have created your own rivalry that is. I'm not. People are gonna say you're just saying it because you used to guess. You're just saying it because you guess. But it is one of the most fun rivalries in U.S. soccer. Like, what has how you've seen that reaction to that growing and whatnot, and like how do you see that missing from Germany or like any other league that you've seen?
I would probably say it has a lot of ties. It's probably the closest to German derbies. Because a lot of German derbies aren't really born in hatred, I would say. Like, you have, of course, Schalke Dortmund, Bayern Dortmund, okay. Right? But then, like, if you look at some of the derbies in Germany, like Schalke and, what's the other club? Nuremberg, right? Like, they're best friends. Like, stuff like that. So that's kind of like what the Henny Derby is. Like, so me and Kyle, when we created the Henny Derby, like, we didn't hate each other. Like, shit, we two black men in soccer media. It ain't too many of us. Like, it's not too many. So it's like, there's no point of us hating on each other, trying to do this. So, always got love for Kyle. Always got love for those who make the trip to Richmond. Jake, when you came down, like, we hang out and party and we have a good time. But when them 90 minutes hit, like, yo, you take your ass over there, I'll take my ass here, and I'll be up with you afterwards. And it is what it is. I think the Henny Derby is probably unique because, speaking about the USL, like, it's so much of a league that they feel like they have to generate rivalries because not a lot of clubs are close to each other.
Yeah.
So, like, for instance, you get Lexington and Louisville tonight, right? And the league is like, oh, well, we're going to brand this the Commonwealth Cup. And it's like, yo, like, it is so goddamn marketed. Like, you do not have to market this. Like, just let it be organic, right? Like, even South Georgia, Tormenta, and Greenville, which is probably the oldest USL League One derby. And I think, honestly, if I remember correctly, I think they are the first ever USL League One game ever. They branded that the Pre-Street Derby. It's like, yo, you do not have to brand every derby. Like, you do not have to brand it. It does not need a sponsor. We do not need a bank sponsoring a derby. Fans are not going to care. You know how fans are going to care? Because there's real hate between us. Like Richmond fans will tell you, yes, we hate Madison because of the hitting up, right? But if you ask them, like, who are the 3 clubs who you cannot stand, they will tell you Loudoun United, Chattanooga Red Wolves, and it's probably Madison. Those are the 3, right? But, like, none of those are branded. None of those have any fancy names. It's just born out of hatred. You know who the club will tell you who the rivals are in USL League One? South Georgia Tormenta, because we used to both have Bon Secours. So, of course, it became the Bon Secours Cup. No one cared about it. Fort Madison, because of the Henny Derby, because they had no choice but to. And they saw, like, oh, if we don't promote this, we're going to lose out on money. And Charlotte, because I-85. 2 out of those 3 fans don't care about because there's no connection with other fans. And I think that, like, that's the most important thing too, like, about the Henny Derby. Like, there's a real connection between the fan bases where when me and Kyle created it, we wanted to make it a safe space for people of color. Like, you don't gotta watch the game, but it's just a safe space. Like, if you ever go to one, there's very few spaces for Black people to be authentic in who they are, like, to enjoy our culture. Because, like, when you go to the tailgate, Jake, you can tell your audience, like, when you go to a tailgate at the Henny Derby, like, it's like a real Black family cookout. Like, You gonna have that one drunk uncle over there playing spades, about to flip a table. You got that one AT over there handing out ice waters. Like you got kids running around.
The one I went to, there was no auntie. There was zero aunties handing out water. I didn't have a water until the next day.
Oh yeah. No, you were done. You were. Jake was legendary. Done.
Allegedly.
But yeah, man. I mean, like that's what we want the Henry Derby to be. It's a great derby, you know. Like even the one this year, like like it was fun. Like granted, my team didn't win, but it's also like to see what it is now at this point. I mean, it's legendary, man. I just wish more people knew about it. You know, not only in the black space, but just those around casual fans around soccer. Because now people are saying like, oh, you know, San Diego and Elliot. I think I was reading something, and they were like, what are the best derbies in U.S. soccer? And like 8 out of the 10 were MLS. And I'm like, yo, I can name you like 5 that are like USL, NPSL, UPSL, you know, that are a lot better than some of these MLS in manufactured derbies, you know. So yeah.
There's 2 chat pieces I want to bring up.
No, we're not saying one of the words in there. Fire.
Well, I won't say one of the words in there. What is the Fire and Ice Derby for those that don't know?
Casey Masterpiece trying to get us banned or something.
So the original name was the Ice and Fire Derby between Central Valley Fuego and North Carolina Hailstorm, 2 teams that are no longer in USL League One. They tried to make it that name, but everyone was just like, it's Fire and Ice. And you do realize like this is a condom. Like this is the Trojan condom. So they tried to change the name to Ice and Fire. And it was like, no. You can't. It's already there. You know it. You can't change it. So that was it. It was a lopsided derby between 2 teams that don't use League One because both of their owners were scammers. But yeah, it was late night USL fiasco. I'll put it that way.
And then the other one from Wikipedia. Can we hear about your USL promotion relegation feelings?
So my initial feelings is that we don't know a lot of information, so I don't have really strong opinions. But I guess feelings, it means I guess Mike wants to know like what are my like how would I build the pyramid for promotion relegation?
Mike's a fast typer, so I'm sure Mike will get back to us on that one. But
yeah, no, that's fine. I can give you my pyramid. So for me, I would build it out to 4 tables. I mean, not 4 tables, 4 tiers. So you have Premier, Championship, League One, League Two. League Two is a mix of professional and semi-pro clubs or amateur clubs, and I think how the way I worked it out was like Division 4 or League Two is like 8 regional leagues, where the winners of regional leagues go into a playoff, right? And then the top 2 or whatever goes up into League 3. Goes up into League One. League One is 4 regionally, so it's not as regionalized, but you have like East, North, South, West, and 2
so
teams.
literally just the German pyramid.
Pretty much. That's why I said it works perfectly. And then Division 2, East, West, and then your National League is, of course, Division 1. The unique thing that I have, because I think this is more likely to happen, is that if a team gets relegated, so let's just say I just pick up a random championship team. Say El Paso gets relegated to League One, right? But the team that won League One, A, doesn't have a stadium in place, and two, is it financially ready to go up? Like they know, like we're not financially ready to go to the championship because of the travel and the increase of players and all this other stuff. El Paso can pay a one-time relegation fee, which is double the winning fee of the league underneath it. So say if like Union Omaha wins League One, right? And they get like a prize of 100 grand. El Paso can be like, hey, we know you're not ready to come up. We want to stay up in the championship. We'll pay the one time fee, but on top of the 100K you got for winning the league, we'll pay you an additional 300K to stay up. You can only use that one time within 3 years. So if El Paso in those 3 years gets relegated again, they automatically go down and whatnot. So that's the way I think is going to happen because like we unfortunately, unlike a lot of leagues, we don't have naming sponsors. So a lot of these teams are still relying on game day revenue, game day receipts, selling of jerseys, things like that. So I think like you're gonna have to be kind of smart in the ways of which some of these teams are getting paid. Like I've talked to the owners of the Richmond Kickers multiple times, and they've made it known like this is the big reason why they pushed the Jaeger Cup because the Jaeger Cup actually has prize money attached to it. The winner of it, and that's one of the things. Like for even like the U.S. Open Cup, one of the things that I want to change instead of whoever is the last remaining team in whatever division. If you win a game, you get a certain amount of prize money and so on and so forth, like you see around Europe and whatnot. But I think like also a lot of the leagues here needs to find naming sponsors. Like you got the Jägermeister Cup, but like I think the U.S. Super League just got a naming sponsor for Gainsbridge. But like hopefully you start seeing more of that around where, depending on your place to finish at the table means you get X amount of prize money. Which like to a club like Richmond, like if Richmond was able to like. Right now we're 4th and 10. Let's say Richmond finishes 5th, and 5th place gets 20,000, right? Like 20,000 goes into the redevelopment of our away stand. It goes into the redevelopment of the stadium, or it goes to covering scouting costs, or goes into the cost of building a training facility for us, like things like that. Things that makes you a more stable club. And you're not just relying on game day receipts and game day, atmosphere to sell money. Because granted, like here in Richmond, we're lucky. Like we talked about on our podcast about how on the list of all-time attendances, like Richmond's in the top 8. Like we're 8 out of 10, and we're lucky. We have a really strong fan base, but like places like Charlotte, South Georgia, Tormenta, Greenville, like those fans, like you probably get no less than 2,000, and it's tough, right? But they also have owners who are backed by money. Richmond, we're not fortunate, so it's like we have to be really creative in the ways in which we raise funds. So I want to see more leagues get more naming sponsors to kind of help out with that prize money and just kind of supplement, that cost.
Since we're on this topic, Mike also asked, what provisions do you think should be there to prevent clubs folding? We're going to do 2 more questions, and we got fun time.
Okay. What provisions should be in place for clubs folding? One, I think we need to do, I forgot what it's exactly called in England, but it's a background check on the owners. I think that's a big thing because we've seen it a lot here. I've gotten into many arguments of people about it because I don't understand how you can be cool with just abusing the abuse of players, especially lower league players, because people think, oh, you're a 26, 27, adult playing in lower league soccer. You should be barking at the chance to want to play. And it's
Wait,
like,
do
no.
they not do background checks on owners in the U.S.?
No. No. This is how you end up with a no-code in a Central Valley Fuego and abuse in the NWSL.
Got it. Got it. Yeah.
It all makes sense. It all makes sense now.
Yep.
Bro, what?
Yeah. And let me pull back a little bit. So I'm not saying they just allow anyone with like a suitcase of money to be like, hey, I want this team, right? The thing about it is we are still in the infancy stage of American soccer. So USL, MLS, NWSL, they're not in any position really to say no to anyone. Because once again, if that check clears, they're going to take it, right? So, for all the stuff you can joke about MLS, like, if someone willing to pay me $600 million for a team, you think I'm about to say no? Like, let's be for real. Like, I'm not about to say no to that. Like, sure, fine. Put a team in DeKalb County for all I care. 600 million. It
Shout
is
out
what
to
it is.
Cal County.
You know, like, but I think that's one of the biggest things, having background checks on owners, making sure that one, they have the capital and the means to support these teams. Because like we saw the report out on Loudon about how they're struggling to have things together there, and the owners are kind of half-assing it a little bit, and it puts a sour note on especially lower league soccer, because people think lower league, they think bare minimum, and that's the farthest thing from the truth. Like, granted, you don't have the financial means or the reach to have the top echelon, but you should do a lot more than just the bare minimum, especially if this is something you're investing in. I think the other thing is, and I think we're a lot further away from that. I think I would love to see a version of 50+1 here, but I don't think it would be in the sense of what it is in Germany, where the fans have more control than the owner, just because that's not how America works, and no white businessman is just going to be like, sure, I'll let y'all control my business asset. Then no. So I think, like, I would love to see something where fans can buy, like, shares or stock in a club, and
We're actually talking to someone tomorrow who did that, so that's very timely.
So I would love to see something like that. I think another thing is to see clubs not fail, and USL is actually doing this now, is they're ensuring that clubs that are coming in not only have stable ownership, like, it's just not one person, it's a group of people now, so you have to at least have like $10 million in net worth, and pooled together before you can just have this club, and that's like the bare minimum, like it's 10 mil. So you obviously want to have more than that. But also, like, I think the biggest thing is like stadiums, like having your own stadium where you can have that game new revenue and you can build. Because, like, for Richmond, that's like, once again, Jake, you've been to City Stadium. Like, that's honestly one of the biggest appeals of going to Richmond, is seeing City Stadium, because it's the old school, unique stadium. It's not a cookie cutter. Here are 4 stands and there's no atmosphere. There's no kind of feel about it. I know we joke all the time about, we use baseball stadiums. I think baseball stadiums are fine. I think if you can make them yours, like, who got a good baseball stadium? Like Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Yeah.
Like,
I was a baseball stadium.
Yeah, right. But looking at, right, you just said it, you would never think that's a baseball stadium, but when you look at it, you will be like, oh snap, like that really fits like a soccer stadium, like a lower league soccer stadium. So I think, like, if clubs can do that, they can find, because that's the other thing about being in America, like, land ain't cheap. Like, land not cheap, and they are more willing to give land to land developers if you building homes and businesses than a soccer team. Let's just be real about that. It's the reason why we don't have a soccer club in the 757 region of Virginia, because it's all military-owned land. It's hard. So if you can find a stadium, like an old football stadium or an old baseball stadium, and repurpose it into your stadium, I think that works. It's just, I think stadiums are really the big thing, because then you are less likely to fold, because you're not stadium hopping around. You're not having to carry that cost on yourself. You're able to generate your own revenue. You're not having to rent. So anything, people are buying popcorn, beer, hot dogs, whatever. That money's going back to you. Is that going to a third party? And they'd be like, here's 10%. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, I think those are the two major things there.
FIFA, which of these other questions should we ask before we go into fun time?
I'm glad people have so many questions for me.
Sometimes I wonder if even an hour is enough for some of our shows sometimes.
I'll go all the way down to the last one. What is the best piece of advice you can give to someone wanting to be soccer media, especially for Black people?
Best piece of advice I would give you is, one, be authentic, be yourself. If it's not in your heart to do it, don't do it. Don't feel like you have to be cookie cutter about what you talk about. Like, for me, like, if you listen to our content, I very rarely talk about, like, Matter of fact, I'll tell you the story. So when we started River City '93, me and Shadir, we're both Man United fans, and Shadir was like, "You think we should talk about Man United like during the show?" And I was like, "Shadir, no. Like people aren't listening to us to hear our opinions on Man United because one, we're not there day in and day out. Two, people are listening to us to hear about the Richmond Kickers, and three, they're not listening to us to hear about Man United, then talk about the Richmond Kickers because that's basically what the show was coming to. So what we did was we stuck to the content that was us, and we knew like we were kind of boxing ourselves into a corner, but it's what fits us. The same thing with Can I Kick It? Can I Kick It was developed to tell about Black soccer history, and you know there's some other Instagram pages that's coming up now that I'm like, oh cool, that's cool to see, but that's what it is. Like so, I never really cared about the. Let me backtrack that. I did care. I did care about the follower count and how many people were following or how many people was listening. It's very easy to get caught up in that stuff as a content creator, but then you also have to teach yourself like that doesn't matter. If you were to walk into a room with 100 people, you'd be like, there are a lot of people here. But in this ecosphere, you be like, oh, my episode only got 100 people watching it, 100 people listening, and you see someone else who. Like we talked about Jake, like who sold a soul, and they gave it 6.8 thousand or 7,000, right? And they're just taking this old talking points and just regurgitating it. You know, you will be like, well, maybe I need to do this, right? So if it's not original to you, don't do it. The other thing I would tell you is, you are going to suck at it when you start. Do not expect yourself to be perfect. It takes time. Like I am in year 7 now, and I am still learning little things here and there, like how to do stuff, how to best fix this, how to best fix this, how to do content, how to put out content. It's you know. Also, the other thing is like just be consistent. If you start it, finish it. You know, if you're gonna cover a team, be authentic, and covering that team and finish it out. Like, you know, I've ran across so many podcasts I've known River City '93. And they weren't their fault, you know, either the club folded or things like that. Life happens. But you know, they will start and just not. Me personally, I feel like if you can get past 10 episodes, you're on the right track. So yeah, that would be my advice to anyone, especially in Black sports media. Like, if there is a community of us. It's not hard. Once you contact with one, you probably get in contact with all of us. Like we are very open to helping each other out. None of us are like, you know, gatekeepers, anything like that. I don't really care about any of that stuff, like to be a gatekeeper or anything like that, because that doesn't help anyone. Because that, you know, we're Black in America. Who are we allowed to gatekeep? No one. So yeah.
Do we have any? Well, we do have one that says we're running out of fun time. No, we're not. I strategically did this because 50 Plus Donor is famous for never finishing stuff when we started. So this time I have 2024, 2025 teams as rap songs. As you'll notice, there's only 5 teams on here. So there's no fucking way we're not going to be able to finish this. And we're not gonna have to push it to next week or anything. So Yogi, you talk about trap songs all the time, my guy.
I do.
It's time to use that. It's time to use that knowledge. What were you thinking about buying?
Let's see. If I had to put Barr into a trap artist, I'd probably say Gucci Mane. And more specifically, Fat Gucci. This is Fat Gucci, man. Because Fat Gucci Mane was untouchable. Like, everyone in Georgia knew that man was selling dope. Everyone knew. He was untouchable. And also, like, that man more or less made Atlanta trap music what it is.
That's not wrong.
Like,
so you're saying he's like Samson, but instead of hair, it's fatness. I get it.
Yeah.
It's not. B-Fun, would you agree with that designation?
Yeah. I needed to hear a little bit of the description, but after that description, yeah.
How do I make this bigger? Never mind.
Fat Gucci man.
Dortmund.
Oh, okay, Dortmund.
You won't offend Beeflin. I know he's making a face that you will.
I won't, because I'm trying to think of what I'd say Dortmund would be.
Well, you already called them Big the Cat, so I don't think you'll have anything nice to...
So right now, Dortmund, I will put them as... I want to say Little John, but I could also go Boosie. You know what? I'll go Boosie. They're like Boosie badass.
You're gonna have to explain that one.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So
yes,
Boosie
sir.
badass, you know,
yes,
he had a
yes,
couple
sir.
of mid to late
sir.
2000s, right? Ever since then, they've been on a bunch of side quests and just have not got back to their purpose of what they're supposed to be, and they have tried forever to get back to that by being something that they're not. They tried to be Bayern Munich, that failed. Then they tried to have all the youth kids, and Real Madrid did that better. And then they try to have a bunch of free players, and that failed. And I feel like they're in the same boat as Boosie. Like, because Boosie went on a bunch of weird side quests. He tried to become a Kappa. Then he tried to be a motivational speaker. Then he went back to trapping. Then he went back to drug dealing. And we're just like Boosie. Like, just get back to spelling respect. And that's about it. And take your diabetic medicine so you don't die on stage. So I would say Boosie. Oh, you know what? Take Boosie. They're T.I.
I didn't think it could get worse. I didn't think it could get worse.
And specifically, comedian T.I. I don't know if you see T.I. stand up. It is horrendously bad. Some
of the meanest things I've ever heard be related to Dortmund has been on this show. I struggle to ask if you agree.
You know.
Oh, also we're being hella rude. Bielefeld
yes.
forever. Thank you for the follow. I'm sorry.
And welcome into chat. Welcome in. But yes.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I think it was very well said.
Eintracht Frankfurt.
All right. Who would I say Eintracht Frankfurt is like? 21 Savage. I would say they're like 21 Savage because like they're a very catchy team if you're not really familiar with the Bundesliga, and it's easy to fall in love with them. Almost like 21, and then you realize like, this is probably the closest thing to England that is probably in Germany that we'll ever get to. And then you realize 21 Savage is English. And you're like, oh, I thought you were an Atlanta Trapper. No, you're from England. No, yeah. So, I would say 21 Savage.
We're never getting impressed. We're never getting impressed. Rox brings up Versace Migos. I would agree with that. Like, we've got it. We're going to sidetrack and put that one in.
Oh, my God. Yo, hey, that Versace Migos era was golden. You could also put Bayern Munich, TM 101. Thug Motivation 101. That's a banger of an album.
Any second one for Eintracht Frankfurt because we're getting dangerously close to still fulfilling our reputation.
You could also you could also put 2 Chainz. You can put 2 Chainz. All right. Oh, man. Okay, so for them, who would I say? I would go Freddie Gibbs.
Freddie? Okay.
Interesting.
And the reason why I say that is because if you're not into trap music, like past just the mainstream stuff, you probably aren't paying attention to Stuttgart. And it's the same thing with Freddie Gibbs. Like if you aren't into, trap music like that, you're not listening to Freddie Gibbs.
That's valid.
That's valid, yeah.
And don't get me wrong, like Freddie Gibbs got some bangers out there. Because Freddie, the album, banger. It's a banger of an album. You can also put Denzel Curry. I would say that as well. That's another one. I would say Denzel Curry. And maybe Vince Staples. Maybe those two.
We have Birdman in here. I don't know if Stuttgart would be.
Well. Are we talking Hot Boys Birdman?
That would be anyone from Atlanta have like different eras. You would have to separate them out into.
Yeah.
And then we'll choose the last one. You can just come up with whatever the fuck you want for this one.
Yellow Wolf. It's alright, man. Because
that's so rude.
Machine Gun Kelly. Like, it's not a lot.
Man.
Yeah, it's not. It's alright.
What's his name?
Pretty much.
He did a song with Lil Yachty, and his name is like something super generic. It's like a person's name. Oh, that's gonna kill me. You do not want to see what I looked up. Oh, Ian. Okay.
Oh.
Dax?
So yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Who is Dax?
Dax? Oh, brother.
Oh yeah, that's bad. That's another bad one.
Who is this guy?
He's an interesting character.
Is this what what's his name Designer turned into?
No. No, God no.
You know who else you can go for Dortmund? And I just thought about this. Fetty Wap.
Yeah.
You can go Fetty Wap.
Fetty Wap, because he had those two hit wonders, and then all of a sudden he came back with "Can I Get to the Yams?" and that was Dortmund going to the Champions League final.
Yeah. Like, no, he's not lying. Like, Fetty Wap's career is probably like Dortmund. Like, that was those two songs came out around the same time as when he went to the Champions League with Robert Lewandowski. And then it was just a fall off. And then he come back with Yams. And it's around the same time they go back to the Champions League final. You're not wrong.
I hate y'all so much. Rocks with another. Oh my god. Kia, my neck, my back.
Yeah.
I can what? Why can't I copy and paste? Whatever. It's just gonna wait. But it formatted it that way.
Yeah, like for Dortmund's too easy because you can just name like bangers. Like you can go Young Jeezy, Dog Motivation 101, Nuck If You Buck. Actually, who's the other one? If you put if you put like Wolfsburg on here, we could have gone Lil Scrappy. Because, you know, they're a one-hit wonder and whatnot. Yeah. Trap music is like my classical music, man.
I'm going to have to sit with what we just did here. We did finish something this time on this show. Yogi.
First time ever.
Literally for a first time ever. Yogi, my bro. Thank you so much for coming on, my guy. We're going to need our 5 minutes to say where can people find you, because you have so many goddamn things. But
I'll just keep it simple. You can find me on Blue Sky.
Oh, wait. Lammy got a good one. How could we have not had you choose what Kaiserslauterns would be?
Oh. Whew. All right. Kaiserslautern. I'm trying to think now. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Because I got someone in mind. I want to make sure that I'm right on this. Let me make sure I'm right on this. Okay. So, Kaiserslautern, I would go Larry June and The Alchemist.
You are a little too broke to be Larry June, but I can see the vision.
Very under the radar, but got some bangers. I will also say, like the potential of how big they can be if things go right is Big X the Plug. Like, you know, Big X has had some banger songs.
What?
Kaiserslautern got a banger stadium. If the investment comes in right, you know, things can go in our favor. So yeah, I would say those two.
Yogi.
Yeah.
God, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, man, it's a pleasure to do this, man.
Make sure everybody follow Yogi on Blue Sky. It is pinned in chat now.
Oh yeah. I'm not as crazy as I was in my Twitter days.
You really have calmed down. I'm very proud of you. I know it's still inside of you, but you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
There's way more reply guys on Blue Sky, so I understand being cautious.
Yeah, and plus, like, X made itself more so of an echo chamber, so you can say something and people will be like, they wouldn't see it. Blue Sky, everyone sees everything. So, but yeah, you can follow me on Blue Sky, and you can follow me on Instagram. I'm real. I'm social, so like if you got any questions or anything, like don't be afraid to DM me, hit me up. Anyone interested in starting in media or how to get started or where to start or any questions or anything, hit me up. Feel free. That's what we're all about here, building that community and helping each other out because, like, you know, mainstream media soccer here sucks. So the people with the real, you know, day jobs got to do it, even though we can't get media passes to the World Cup.
We'll still try, be fun. We're not gonna get it, but we'll still try. Thank you for joining us. Don't go away too fast. We're back tomorrow. We're going to interview Wes Berging of Minnesota Aurora fame and Blackheart, the Barr in St. Paul. He's a St. Pauli fan as well. But thanks for coming on, Yogi. Thank you all for watching, and